Hi there, welcome to Transport Trailer Sales. Today we'll be walking you through your 2024 Sportsman 292RBKSE. We are just going to start off the back unit. If you notice up top, we're pre-mounted for a Furion observation camera. If you'd like to get set up with that, you can just contact our parts department and they'd be more than happy to help you out. It's going to be a great addition to your camper. You'll be able to watch behind you while you're traveling, and of course while reversing, you'll be able to see while you are approaching something. Again, great little addition. Just by contacting the parts department, we'll be more than happy to put together a quote for you. Get your spare tire located right at the back here. And then if we come along to the driver's side of the unit, you get your back bumper tube here. Now you can't get access from both sides. Pulling on this cap, it's typically where you're going to want to store your sewer hose after your first use. We do have a brand new one located inside the front compartment, which is why there's not one in there yet. But after your first use, just storing it inside of there. Just try and keep as much smell out of the unit as possible. The bumper cap does just press back into place, nice and firmly, like so. Now in this corner, as well as all four corners of the unit, you do have stabilizer jacks. How you use them: hook up your 3/4 inch drive tool, run this foot down to the ground. Once the foot does contact the ground, just give it another 1/8 turn to snug it up. It's going to take any bounce or sway you see you have in the unit right now away. And just a little additional note for these guys is they are stabilizing jacks, they aren't leveling jacks. Please don't try and use them as so, otherwise you do run the risk of bending them. And then of course, if you're running them up or down with an impact, that's totally fine. Just keeping in mind how much torque you do put on them. It's pretty easy to bend them, so just be careful. You got your exterior shower here in the corner, standard 751 key, which is going to be the black key on your key ring, the little guy. Open up that, and then you got your sewer outlet here, right here in that back corner. You're just taking that sewer cap, twisting it off, pulling it out of place. Your sewer hose is going to have those same ears. They line up with the notches like so. Once you do line them up, twist, firm, locks in. You got your black valve and your gray valve. You always want to empty your black valve first, so it's going to be your dirtiest water filled from your toilets, and then you can come behind that with your gray valve, which is typically a little cleaner water filled from your sinks and your showers. You can make your way a little bit more ahead, and you're going to have your second sewer dump. Take this cap, twist it off. It's going to work the same way as that back one there. This one is just for the galley, so it's going to be just for your kitchen sink, so you know what you're emptying while you empty this. Again, this is going to be another one of those ones you want to do last, because it's going to be a little bit cleaner water than your black. Then you're going to notice right here, while we're down here, you got this little blue line. Take that valve, opening that guy up. That is just going to drain all the fresh tank. That is going to drain your fresh tank, and that's what your water pump draws off of. Up top, you got your standard 30 amp twist lock connection. You're just taking note of that notch there. It does line up with this notch on this side. Pressing it firmly into place, 8th turn to lock it in. And then you got that threaded collar to really lock it down. If you follow that cord back, you do have your standard 30 amp plug in. A lot of campsites should have this, so you can plug right on in. But let's say you have the unit at home and you want to run your fridge, or your campsite only has 15 amp service. We do include that 15 amp park adapter. We do have that 15 amp park adapter for you in there, which is a standard household outlet. Just keep in mind whenever you are using that, you're going down in amperage, so you won't be able to run something like your air conditioner. Realistically, it's just to run your fridge lights and charge up your battery. Whenever you do plug this in, you get that blue light at the top telling you have a successful power source. If the red light were to be on, it's telling you your source of power is bad, and it's not a problem with the trailer. Cable satellite up top. Got a city water connection, so if you're out of sight of service, you can just throw a garden hose in there, turn it on. It's going to pressurize all those lines without the need to run your water pump. Fresh tank fill down below. Stick your garden hose in there, turn it on. That's what fills your fresh tank, and that's what your water pump draws off. You got this first little inside compartment here. Probably might be the only one. 15 amp park adapter, which I've already told you about. Then this customer probably obviously opted for a 50 to 30 adapter. They probably have a 50 amp service, and this is only a 30 amps trailer. Then you do it does come included with a standard starter kit. It comes with 15-foot water hose, 10-foot sewer hose, as well as some other miscellaneous goodies. If we do come around to the front of the trailer, you get your battery located inside this box here, and then right at the front, it's going to be a little hard to see on the camera, but you got your battery disconnect switch with it in the on position like it is now. The batteries are connected to the unit. If you turn that to the off position, the batteries would then become disconnected from the unit. And then right at the front, you got your propane tank cover. Typically, you can get what you need done just by loosening off these tabs a little bit, pushing them over and out of place. Pop open that guy. Now you get access to both your propane tanks right at the front. Turning them on. But for the purpose of the video, I'm just gonna slide this right out of place. Eventually, you will run out of propane. Once that covers up, again, just a wing nut right at the top, loosen them off, and then it works like any standard barbecue. You got your selector valve on top at the front of your regulator here with it pointed to this tank. You're obviously drawing off this tank counterclockwise like any standard barbecue to turn that on. Now let's say this tank were to go empty. You can close this off, remove it, flip this regulator over to the other side, and now you can draw off this tank while this one's getting filled up. Awesome little feature, tongue jack right at the front. You give a manual override right up top there in case that would have failed for whatever reason. And now coming around to the passenger side, first thing we're going to come to is just going to be the Fugatti hot water service port. There's only a couple things really you need to worry about there, but before we go over those, just go over a few winterizing notes. If you've had a camper before, you probably had a tank water heater, in which case there's bypass valves behind it, which you had to turn when it came time for winterization. Now this water heater system is the complete opposite. No bypass valves behind there, nothing to turn. You do run antifreeze through it. And then once you're done your winterization process completely, just cracking this pressure relief valve and leaving it cracked open for the duration of winter. So that way during those cold Manitoba winter months, when the antifreeze does start gelling up, it doesn't expand and crack in those super easy to crack copper coils. It's gonna expand and make its way out of the relief valve. Power switch, that's what supplies power to the thermostat inside. If you're ever not getting power in there and you have this on, it's always a good idea to just check that little glass fuse in there, make sure that's not popped. Could be your issue. That's about it for the water heater. Got your furnace exhaust. Whenever your furnace is running, it will be blowing out hot air, so just be mindful of that. Right up top here, you're gonna notice you got these two little tabs. Push, pop them open. That's gonna be opening up the vent for your range hood. A little stuck, so I'll have to make sure that it does get open. So whenever you get to your campsite, you're gonna wanna make sure that's able to move freely so that way you can evacuate those fumes. But whenever you are driving or traveling, snapping it back into place, which you kind of have to push up and down at the same time, which sounds weird. Push up and down, snap that into place. That's just gonna stop any excess dust from getting inside. Cable satellite outlet in case you wanted to run a TV outside. A couple plugins for the TV maybe, or coffee maker, whichever you desire. Pop and open this guy, flip it right open. You do get that exterior fridge. Now this only runs on shore power, so keep that in mind. But a neat little mini fridge. The power control, temperature control is in your top left corner. Obviously 5 is going to be the coldest setting, and then you get your little Suburban Blackstone style griddle. Sweet little addition that these guys have started throwing into these campers. And then you got, of course, your propane quick connect line. Beauty feature about this, yes, it runs off propane, but you do have a hard line ran underneath your trailer, already plumbed into your front 2 tanks. So you don't have to carry an extra tank with you, but you're just pulling back on this collar here like any standard airline, coming to the corresponding nipple here at the back, push and insert into place, pull back and insert into place. Once you get it clicked and you can pull on it, then you can open up the flow, so that way when you open up the flow on this side, it turns on. Now I'm just taking this guy. Of course, it's always very important that you do use your dust caps whenever the thing isn't in use. That way you're not getting any debris inside the lines. You're gonna pull on that blue dust cap, pull it off. This side is gonna work the same way. Click, push into place. Once that's locked, opening up the flow of propane, you now have propane flowing to your griddle. As an added safety feature, you can't operate this coupler with the valve open, so you do have to close that valve, and then you can pull back, disconnect, and close everything back up. And taking it back down is obviously the exact opposite of what we just did, and I'll save you the boringness of that. So we can get through this video a little bit. You're gonna notice this here. This is your black tank flush. Just reading the caution sticker, it's very important that whenever you do use this, you have your sewer hose connected and your black tank valve open. The reason being, if you're pushing pressure inside of the tank and that pressure has nowhere to go, it could expand that tank to the point of cracking. So again, if you want to use that, it's great to use it probably every second dump. That way you're just flushing out any extra debris that didn't make its way out during the initial dump. That's going to help with false monitor panel readings and of course aroma. And then in this very back corner, you got your 2 low point drains. So these are going to be good for if you're leaving the unit for a while, don't want water going stale or stagnant inside the lines, or of course if you're done your winterization process, it's always a good idea to crack these guys open and let a majority of the antifreeze drain itself back out. Now for the best part, to get inside, you're just taking that assist handle, pushing it up, folding it 90 degrees. It's going to lock itself into place. You can then open up your door. You do have to open up the door all the way to get the stairs to fold down. Get the stairs, pull on that tab, pull it towards you. Feet are going to start coming towards you. You have adjustable feet so that you can have nice and level stairs for your campsite needs. Now you can take a step on inside. First thing you notice off to the left is that fire extinguisher, which is pretty much just like home, pull the pin and shoot. Right here, you got your main monitor panel system. It also has most of your controls there. Light switch that's going to turn on most of the main living space lights so you can see what you're doing. You got your water pump switch, which does draw out of your fresh tank. And then you got your monitor panel system. It's going to tell you got a black 1 and a black 2. You only have a black 1 and a gray 1 and a gray 2. The gray 1 is going to be for your back bathroom. The gray 2 is going to be for your galley, which is that kitchen sink. Pushing it just tells you the corresponding level. You have an awning light. There's a little light mounted just underneath the awning, and that's what turns that on. And then now you have your controls. We'll first go over the awning just before we open everything up. Before you ever run your awning, of course, just being visual of before you're running it, making sure you have enough room to run it all the way out without running it into anything. And of course, whenever you're using it, you should always try and be visual and watch it, making sure that it's going out nice and smoothly. Now, unfortunately, today we aren't going to be able to get it to go all the way out. But the way you would know that it would be fully extended is you would see the back of the metal tube and a little flap hang down, but just be warned, sometimes that flap can get stuck up. So you might just have to retract it a couple feet and then try putting it back out again. And it should allow that flap to hang down. Now, if it were to start raining, you can take any arm front or rear, pull down at the center. It's going to change the pitch of the awning head, allowing water to now run off. Now, if you like that angle better because it's going to allow for more shade underneath, you do the same thing with the front arm. Just making sure you do push both these arms back to straight before you bring that awning in. And then again, another few notes about the awning. They're very sensitive to wind. Once the wind starts picking up, this acts much like a kite. It's going to want to take off. It's pretty easy to bend your arms or rip your fabric, and it gets pretty costly pretty quick. So again, just bring it in, save yourself the headache. And then of course, if it were to start raining heavily and you had to run it in because the winds then pick up, it's not the end of the world, but just try to remember at your next earliest convenience to roll it back out and allow it time to dry off. That way you're not accelerating the growth of mold or mildew inside of there. And then to retract it is as simple as holding the button in, making sure that that rolls the right way in, and once the arms contact the side of the trailer, the motors are automatically cut out. Now we got both our slide out controls here. Before we go to operate either one, it's always a good idea to do a quick visual check inside, making sure that there's going to be nothing that's going to get caught in between the slides that shifted during travel, because a lot of times that does happen. And if you don't notice it right away, it can damage pretty quickly. Again, pretty costly, pretty quick. So just give it a quick visual check if you can. I do understand sometimes that's not always possible. So that's why my next note is going to be whenever you are running them, just try and be visual and watch them to make sure they're going out evenly and smoothly. And then of course, just on the outside, making sure you have enough room to go all the way out, which again, unfortunately today we don't have that room. So I'm going to be visual and mindful when I'm running these out to know when to stop. Now, with that being said, it is always good to do full strokes if you can, because it's just easier on the motor and the drive system. So that's about all that bedroom slide's going to go out, and that's what's hooked up to your slide number 1. Slide number 2 is going to be this main slide. Again, unfortunately not going to be able to go all the way out, but I'm visual and mindful of it, so it's not the end of the world. Now, if these slide outs were to be all the way out, a good way to know they're all the way out is you're going to hear the motors wind up and click. And then of course, if you wanted to be extra careful, you could just run your hand between the slide out and the wall. You want to make sure that you feel that rubber seal against the wall. That way you're sealing out any moisture from getting inside. Now that we're inside, we have things partially open. Behind you here, we do have our thermostat. It's Coleman air conditioner. And a Coleman thermostat, push the button once, it illuminates itself. Push it again, you can go through different modes. But before we do go that way, we can go into the fan setting and we can run that fan on either high or low. depending on what your preference is. Now that's just moving air around using the air conditioner. There's no heating or cooling involved. And the reason I showed you that is because you can run it without the air conditioning. Now, if you wanted to get that air conditioning to take into effect, you'd have to go back into your mode by pushing the center button, turn it over to the cool option, hit enter. And now you're gonna notice when we go into that fan setting, whenever you're in heat or air conditioning, it has an auto there. Whenever auto is enabled, it means it's gonna be an on-demand system. It's also meaning it's using the smartest setting of all. So if the room temperature currently says 81, which is hot, it's a nice and hot day here in Manitoba. If the room's set to 81 and we have our thermostat set to 67, when it's in auto, once the thermostat senses the room is at 67, it's going to automatically kill your air conditioner, so you're not running it full time, saving it a little bit. If you were to have that fan setting on either high or low without the auto on there, it's just going to run full time continuously. Now for our next step, if I were to go to the next setting in the mode setting, it's going to be your heat setting. Now it's extremely important for that to have the auto setting on, because if you went to go turn on the furnace and you had the fan setting on either high or low, the air conditioning fan is still going to run while running your furnace. And although that's not the end of the world, it could get a little noisy because the furnace is going to have its own fan in it, and that fan runs on only one speed. You don't have any control over it. Again, we're going to go over to that heat. Now, super cool feature that they did do with these Coleman thermostats is you get a cool plus heat option. Push enter, again, enter, and now, depending on what you have the room set to, so if it's set to 82 and we're at 72, again, it's going to leave that air conditioner running. But let's say overnight it drops down to 67, we have the room set to 72, then it's not going to run the air conditioner. It's going to kill the air conditioner and fire up the furnace so we can heat it back up. Bring it one more time over, you're going to go over to a dry setting, and that's just to try and take as much humidity out of the air, and I am going to leave that air conditioner running just because it is so hot in here for our camera guy. Opening up that door, you do get access into the bathroom here. Turning the light switch off on your far left. Up top, you're going to notice you got your vent lid. Now this customer already opted to go with the Max Air cover, which is a great addition to their camper. Fan switch, far right, and that is hooked up to the switch next to the light switch. But if you want to use that switch, you could. It's going to be a personal preference. Window at the back. Other than that, pretty standard bathroom, minus the fact that on the wall we're going to have a couple different things. Main GFI plug, 90% of the plugs are going to be ran through GFI. The reason it's GFI is if they sense moisture, they automatically kill power to it. That way there's no short. Now, if you ever have an outlet that doesn't work, because sometimes these do trip for the most random reasons, just come to this plug, hit that reset button, make sure that the system isn't tripped. Just a quick, easy check in case something were to not work. And then on the wall here, you get your thermostat for your water heater. There's not much you need to really worry about. Power button to turn it on or off, or you can use the button that's down over there. Up or down to change your set temperature, and then you can get between Celsius and Fahrenheit with the press of a button. Now, this again isn't going to work like your traditional water heater. The whole point of an on-demand water heater system is when you turn the hot water on, where you want to set this temperature is where you find the water most comfortable. So when you turn on that hot, they don't want you to be using the cold at all. They want you to just use the hot. So set that temperature at the best setting that you find you like the most, or that your family likes the most, and kind of leave it there. Now you can turn it up or down depending on who's using the bathroom, but again, just don't use the cold, only use the hot and set it where you want it. So that way you don't have to blend it. Power button to turn it back off. Not much you need to worry about. Now in the main living space, tons of accent lighting throughout, and of course you're gonna have tons of storage. Now whenever you're using the storage, any of the storage inside this unit, just being mindful of drains, water lines, and wiring, you're not gonna be wanting to affect any of that. This couch is going to fold down into a bed. If in case you had any extra guests, just have to pull on it, folds down. You can do it with one hand. Bringing it up is a little more difficult. Kind of have to push and grab the top and pull, and that'll allow it to fold back down. Center cushion here acts as a drink holder. You can put any drink of your choice in there. All the blinds in the unit are going to work the same way. They're just going to kind of sit where you leave them. This is going to be an emergency exit for the unit, as well as that other window that's in the dinette. Just opening up the handles, push on the window, it's going to pop right out of place. Try and go feet first out, come on down the unit. But of course, if there's a fire, just getting out as quick as possible is the best option. There's accent lighting throughout here too, just on their own center push buttons. And these lights in the main living space, if you don't want them all on at the same time, they all are on their own center push buttons, so you can turn them on and off as you like. Entertainment center, TV, pretty much just like home. You got your stereo. Zone 1, Zone 2 are going to be the only things that aren't really self-explanatory. Zone 1 is going to be your interior speakers. Zone 2 will be your exterior speakers. And then right down below, you do get your Furrion fireplace, power button on the far right to turn it on. You got your temperature button to go between your different settings, whether that be low or high. And that's going to be deciding on how much heat it puts out. And then you got all your different light features you can play with. And then you have a timer that goes anywhere from like 30 minutes to 6 hours, give or take. Again, your air conditioner is going to move all its air through the ceiling ducting you have throughout. Your furnace will move its air through these 4 portals you have throughout. Now in the dinette, again, this will be another spot that you can turn into a bed in case you have even more guests. You're just having to take the feet from underneath the table, set the tabletop on its desired black ledges here, and then you can take your back cushions to fill in the center. You can have yourself another bed for some more guests. Into the kitchen space. You got your fridge here. These do have travel locks in case you're traveling. You just gotta pull towards you. Fridge, freezer combo. Nice big freezer, which is uncommon sometimes. Controls for both are right down below. Obviously on this last setting here, that's gonna be its coldest setting, but that's also gonna be the setting that gets the coldest the quickest. So let's say your significant other tells you the night before, hey, we're going camping, make sure you turn on the fridge so that it's nice and cold when we leave, and you forgot, you're gonna wanna put it in that setting 5. That way it gets the coldest the fastest, and then you can turn it down if it happens to be too cold. You're gonna notice some off-grid rating here. Now that's just gonna be telling you the most energy efficient setting to run it on if you were out boondocking and it only had 12 volt power. Charcoal filter in the top left corner snaps out of place. Again, this is going to be another thing that our parts department can supply you with some more of. That's to help with some fridge owners. Again, they don't last forever, so if you need more of them, don't be scared to reach out. And then a good note with the fridge is if you use the unit and you're turning the fridge off because you're not going to be using the unit for either the rest of the season or just a couple weeks, it's always a good idea that before you leave the unit, crack these doors open, leave them open for a little while, and allow all the cold air to make its way out, and have some towels inside here to soak up some of the moisture, so that way, again, you're not accelerating the growth of mold and mildew. Right down below, you got your main fuse and breaker panel. Whenever a breaker trips, it'll sit in the middle, so you just have to turn it off and then back on again to reset it, and then you got all your corresponding fuses on the right. Now over here, because this unit is equipped with propane, we got our LP detector, which is right here near the door, and I also forgot to go over it. This guy right here, if that guy does ever start going off, don't panic. Just turn off the main supply of propane at the front of the unit and open up some windows and vents to get some fresh oxygen inside of here. Now, a couple special notes with the propane. Whenever you turn the system off at the front, it allows air into the system, and of course, if you undo one of those bottles, it allows much more air into the system. Once air makes its way in, it does have to be purged out. Quickest, easiest way to do that is by using your stove, as you get to decide how long it runs for and how many sequences it goes through. If you went to go try firing up either your water heater or furnace without purging the system first, there is a chance that it could throw a fault code at you. And if you don't know what the fault code means, it could throw a little wrench into your weekend, but because I'm telling you now, hopefully you'll remember that it could just be a purging issue. So just come to your stove when you first get to your campsite, flip it back, of course being careful because this is glass, nice and gentle with it. Come over to your valve. Again, this is going to be another safety note because this is a gas stove. Whenever you turn on one of the gas valves, always making sure you're hitting that sparker and seeing some sort of spark, trying to be visual of it, because if you're running that gas valve and you're not getting that spark and gas were to start making its way through and it starts to build up, there could be a minor combustion if you get enough of it and leave it on long enough, or if you accidentally turned it on and forgot it on. Always making sure you're running your range hood too, because that way you're evacuating them, so you hopefully avoid that. But again, if you had a buildup of gas, it could cause a small combustion. It could cause you to lose some eyebrows and eyelashes if your face is close by. So just try and keep your face far back. And whenever you're running that on, just hitting that sparker every 2 seconds. Of course, today it did fire up pretty quickly just because I had the system running earlier, so it hasn't been off very long. But be patient with it. Sometimes it can take a few minutes, especially when it comes time to lighting that oven, because the gas orifice is so small for the pilot. But that's as simple as that. Then come down here on your right. You either can turn on just the illumination knobs or the illumination knobs plus the oven light. Take this last knob here, turn it over to the pilot option, push and hold the knob in, giving it a few seconds, again allowing air to make its way through and propane to come. Once you're able to light that pilot, and you're going to see it goes out for a second there, just try pushing it in again, turning it on. Once you can get that pilot to hold its own without you holding the knob in, it is then ready to fire up to your desired temperature, and it fires right on up. To the left, you got your sink again, which is pretty much self-explanatory. A couple more accent lights, and of course, tons of storage. Now you got this storage cabinet here. Now, if you are wanting to do the winterization process yourself, where you're going to get access to that water pump, where you're going to find the bypass hose attached to it, where you'll also find the bypass valve, which you will have to turn. Remove the 2 screws. This little false panel is going to pop out of the way. Again, the water pump's going to be right there. It'll be nice and easy for you. Once you get into the bedroom, that light switch is just on the wall over there. In case you wanted some privacy, you got this sliding door. But whenever you're traveling, always remembering to latch this, because if you don't latch it and were to begin traveling, it does just slide around freely, so it's most likely or could break off or cause damage. Again, another thing we're going to want to avoid, so just snap that in place, make sure it's not going anywhere. Other than that, you got 2 more fire exits here, and both of these guys are going to work the same but differently than the back. You're just going to pull in the red tab, screen's going to pop right out of place. Then you can take this handle, push it up, lift, pull, and push out. And again, just hopping on out of the unit, try and go feet first. Other than that, it's your pretty standard bedroom. You got storage all throughout, tons of storage. On the one side of the bed, you do have plugins, but plugins for both of you, you would just have to share. And you also have some more plugins on this side, just not as close to the bed. Inside this cabinet here, it's a great little storage spot, and in addition to that, you are pre-wired for a solar system. So if you'd like to get set up with that, again, just contact your parts department. They'd be more than happy to help you out. A solar system is going to be a great addition to this camper. It's going to keep your 12-volt battery charged whenever you're not using it. And contact your parts department. It would help you get into contact with that. One last note. TV backer here in case you want to mount the TV, or you could just mount it right on your dresser, whichever you prefer. 2 plugins up top, as well as this little coax outlet in case you were hooking that up. And then you're going to notice this little King Wi-Fi sticker. You are prepped for Wi-Fi. Again, wanting to get set up with that, just contact your parts department. They'd be more than happy to help you out, get set up with that. That is going to be it for this unit here. If you have any other questions, feel free to call.